With the mining issue here in
Well,
Croagh Patrick.
the mining issue came along, yes, that was in 1989 actually, and they had built this road up the Reek without planning permission. And of course the County Council knew damn well the road had been built, and that in fact they had a machine up there digging, and
What were they after at the time?
they were after gold. They'd found gold, they thought, in considerable quantities. They reckoned there was £800 million worth of gold, and they were going to mine, and they were going to build these big heaps of the extract from the mines, which would have been mainly rock with gold running through it, and they would crush that on the side of the mountain, and they would extract the gold by using cyanide. They'd build up huge heaps of gold, pour cyanide over it, and the gold would trickle out into a chute and eventually into a pond. We set up the
Anti-mining, I suppose.
anti-mining organisation called, what was it called? Anyway,
How long did the battle go on for?
but the battle went on for several years, and in fact, that was early in the 80s actually, and in 1989, all the politicians were backing it, of all parties, and
We're back in the mining.
were backing the mining because it was they were told it was going to create jobs. And I went to London, and I went to where David Bellamy, Professor David Bellamy, had an apartment, and I went in there, and his secretary came up to me, and I said, I want to talk to Professor Bellamy, and she said, you see all these people? She said, they're all waiting to see Mr. Bellamy, and she said, I'll go and talk to him and tell him where you're from. So she came out and he said, come back at 2 o'clock and he will see you. And I wandered off through London, and I went in at 2 o'clock, and his secretary came and said, Mr. Bellamy will see you now. And I walked in front of all these people who gave me the dirtiest looks, and he talked to me for 2 hours and told me that he had done his thesis on something on this area out in Dulac and so on. And I said, we're proposing to hold a meeting next Saturday, I think it was, in Westport. I said, would you come and talk to us at it? And I think it might have been on a Friday, and he said, I can't. I am giving away my daughter or something at a wedding on Saturday. And I said, well, if we flew you in on Thursday and flew you out on Saturday morning, I said, I'll do that. And he did. And of course, the fact that Bellamy was coming to the meeting, and the estimate was that there were 4,000 or 5,000 people, where we expected to hold the meeting indoors in the Sacred Heart School, with probably hoping for 400 or 500 people. And of course, we packed the place. And after the meeting was over, you had Michael Ring and Patrick Port, all of them coming up to me and said, Paddy, we're fully behind you. There'll be no mining.
Anyway, you won the battle.
He withdrew the license, and there'd been no mining.
Do you think will it ever be taken out?
Well, of course, somebody had another go then about 3 or 4 years ago, this man from Newry, who was, I was told, was a millionaire, and he set up a company called Mayo's Gold. And so we set up this thing again, and Harry Hughes, Peter Sandley, and myself arranged to meet Eamon Ryan, who was the minister responsible in the Fianna Fáil Labour government, and we met Eamon Ryan in his office in Dublin, and said, you know, what would happen, and that we would. Oh no, Eamon Ryan was Green Party, and as we were walking out, Eamon Ryan sort of called me back, and he put his hand on my shoulder and he said, "Paddy, I know that area well." He said, "There will be no mining there," and that was the end of the mining.
Never the end of that, yeah. So there was great controversy at that time. Well, a great discussion about it, wasn't there?
Oh, it was murder.
Were there many against you?
Oh, an awful lot. Mind you, we did a house-to-house survey, and we came to the conclusion that something like 90-something% were for us, because we plugged the line that it would destroy tourism. Yeah.
And what did you think of the proposal to put a statue on top of Croagh Patrick?
At first, I thought, oh, you know, but you know, when I thought about it, and particularly that it was 102 feet tall, and I thought it's not really the right place for a statue of that size.
You still think that? You still think that, yeah?
I still think that,
yes.
yes.
Did you give it consideration?
I did, yes, I did, yeah.
Because I've seen the one in Rio de Janeiro. Have you seen that one?
I did, yes. That is slightly, that's just under 100 feet.
About the same height, yeah.
Yes, about the same height.
Yeah.